on with the revamped show. 4 years ago, I had my identity stolen by my own mother. She took out loans and credit cards in my name, somehow the bank allowed this, and racked up thousands of dollars in unpaid loans and credit cards. A bank actually sued me, unbeknownst to me because my mother had her address listed under the loan, and the court granted them a levy against my bank account to take out $10,000 plus and put it towards my unpaid mortgage loan. This, along with a ton of credit cards falsely taken out in my name, my credit score plummeted to below 400. I couldn't even get a one-bedroom apartment in the worst city in the state. I was homeless, slept in my car, but then my car broke down and I had to trade it in for a working one. Read, cheaper and smaller. So I couldn't sleep in my car anymore, not enough room. I got a hotel room, but it quickly became too expensive on my minimum wage budget. I spent about 2 weeks sleeping in the park before I saved up enough money to score a weekly rate with a hotel, which was infested with cockroaches and filth. I spent about 3 months at the hotel, spending literally every time I had on the weekly charge, plus terrible Chinese takeout food from the Rite Aid nearby. The Chinese guy knew me so well that he would pad my plate full of food. I suppose he could sense my struggle. Finally, after 3 months, I was able to pass a licensure test that allowed me to get a job paying a few bucks extra than minimum wage. The few bucks made a big difference and allowed me to start saving money instead of just dumping it every week. My credit started to slowly go up too, but not much. I was somehow able to score a one-bedroom apartment, literally right across the street from one that declined me 3 months ago. I still had terrible credit, but I guess he was willing to take a chance on me if I could pay the deposit, which now I could. A few months go by and I start saving more money, but not much. Then I earned my degree about a year later. With a few dollars in savings, I was able to get a much better job with a much better salary. It wasn't a crazy amount, but it allowed me to start saving more. I saved every penny, other than for rent, car payment, gas and food. I didn't even have insurance. I got pulled over and explained the situation to the officer, and miraculously he let me go. He told me to get insurance though, and about 6 months later I did. Fast forward 3 years later, after saving every penny and doing literally everything I can to build my credit, paying off my mother's debts she put in my name, pleading with debt collectors, claiming hardship and getting reduced amounts to pay, everything you could imagine, my credit started to slowly go up. I made every payment on time and didn't go above an 18% utilization rate. I wore the same t-shirt and pants to work every day. My coworker commented on it once, and before I could say anything, she goes, "But you probably just have tons of the same shirts, huh? Like Mark Zuckerberg." If only she knew how different. But shout out to Zuck for saving me on that one. Fast forward to a few months ago when I started browsing to get a new rental because my landlord is actually Satan. I won't get into the details, but I'm sure y'all can imagine. I start looking for rentals and they're so expensive. I think, screw it, why don't I just buy a house? I laughed. I knew there was no way I could pay for a house. A former loser, homeless, bankrupt kid with no family like me owning a home? Forget about it. But I was intrigued, so I called a real estate agent and she told me I needed 20% down payment. Darn, I definitely don't have that. I gave up, but I got interested again. Now with my lease running out after turning a 30 days notice in, and my best rental option a one-bedroom shack for 4 times what it's worth, I called another real estate agent. I told her I don't have much money to put down, and she tells me, "That's okay, you might qualify for an FHA loan." What? What is an FHA loan? I ask. Long story short, I did qualify and was able to look for houses with 3.5% down payment. Wow, truly life-changing. Then I found this beautiful home with a view and snagged it. My realtor was worried it wouldn't be approved for FHA, but it came through and it was. You hear stories of people stealing identities all the time, and you just think, wow, how could somebody do that to somebody else? The thing that's so shocking and disturbing is this mother did it to their own child, just starting to make their own way in the world. There aren't too many more things that you could do that are despicable than that. Literally making your child homeless. Stories like this are really inspirational. Sometimes it's the people that are given the hardest lot in life that end up being the best example to the rest of us. My mother is a mega entitled Karen, and I feel like a broken record at this point by telling yet another story about her endeavors. But you guys seem to like them, so here we go. Last week I wrote about her parking in the disabled parking space and getting a fine she refused to pay. This happened about 5 months after that. I was 14, 2004. My mum and my sister both like riding horses, which is something I was never interested in. My sister, 11 at the time, had fallen off a horse more times than you can count, but only ever ended up with the occasional scratch or bruise. My mother, on the other hand, wasn't as durable. She'd broken her leg in 2002 after getting buckled off an untrained horse. I think her horse was Karen-phobic because the same thing happened to her in 2004. I wasn't there to witness this, much to my dismay, but she got bucked off her horse and broke the same leg, her fibula. Can't remember which leg. Have you ever wondered what makes a Karen more of a Karen? A Karen in pain. Her leg was in a cast for about 8 weeks, and holy cheese balls was she annoying. She would complain at any chance she got, even though she was on enough painkillers that I was surprised she could even feel her leg at all. But did that stop her driving? Nope. We lived out of town, and Mum didn't have anyone to drive her around, as much as she would have relished in having her own limo driver. So she had to drive herself to do groceries and run errands, dragging me along with her as her slave. Looking back on it now, I'm lucky to still be alive, considering the strength of the painkillers she was on while driving, not to mention how she was driving safely with her leg in a cast. The usual and cheapest grocery store we went to didn't have a wheelchair for Mum to sit in while shopping. She didn't have one of those moon boots to walk on. So on top of her constant complaining about pain, she would continuously complain that she was forced to spend a few extra dollars here and there on groceries. If you read last week's story, I think you know what's coming. The first time we went grocery shopping, after Mother Dearest became Mother Limps a lot, she parked in a disabled parking spot saying, "I'm allowed to park there. It's disabled parking and I'm disabled." Her flawed logic never ceases to amaze me. Guess what happened when we finished shopping? Go on, guess. I bet you can't. She got a fine. Are you surprised? This enraged her, and she hobbled back inside with her crutches to complain about the unfair fine. She wanted me to go with her, but I refused, not wanting to be anywhere near Hurricane Karen when she erupted. I stayed in the car and tried to hide behind the sun visor. Thank the holy chickens for tinted windows. About 5 minutes later, she came back, opening the door and throwing her crutches into the back seat. She got in, slammed the door, and started muttering inaudible angry sentences about how unfair it is that she can't park in the disabled parking spot. You still need a permit to park there. Remember last time? I'd warned her when she pulled up, but, well, Karen logic. They should have made an exception for me. It's obvious that I'm disabled. What about when I broke my ankle? That didn't make me disabled. Temporary impairment doesn't equal disabled. Temporary what? Get your mind out of the gutter. I think the painkillers were making her hear something else. Okay, Mum. I knew it was better to agree with her than argue further. She had a few other things to do, all of which she made me do, as she refused to get out of the car, more than likely sulking for getting another fine. When we got home, she made me carry all of the groceries inside, and she went straight to the phone to debate the parking fine. This was her second offense, so the price was much higher, $200. She tried to get out of paying it, but of course, she couldn't get out of it. Ignorance is not a disability. It blows my mind that these entitled parents think that disability is somehow a good thing. It's like they so desperately want to be disabled so that they are then entitled to park closer to the shopping center. The whole point is to actually be there for people who need it, not just for entitled parents for their convenience. The background. So I work at a bike camp. It's during the pandemic and we have to stay socially distanced, wear masks near the kids, sanitize everything, etc. Of course, because I work as an instructor, I need to have my bike, which I bought myself with saved birthday money almost 6 years ago, and it's working great still. I take good care of my stuff, so I can actually show the kids what to do, ride with them, etc. For clarification, I got a popular bike brand, and my bike's a mountain bike, so I have gears, shock absorbers, meant for a 6 foot minimum tall person. I'm a tall 20+ female, and recently I purchased a bike rack that goes over my rear tile and 2 large weatherproof saddlebags to carry my lunch, a raincoat, sunscreen, and anything else. I have a water bottle holder for a water bottle. I invested a lot into my bike, including getting front and right lights for when it's dark out, and a bell of course, as I really enjoy the freedom of riding, and being an avid Pokemon Go player when I'm not working gives me a small advantage of getting to places faster and using less energy. Also, no driver's license, which I'm totally fine with as I don't mind public transport and don't want the hassle of a car yet. Basically, my bike is my only free means of wheeled transportation, the only way I can stay employed, and I just really love it. Then, this happened. Friday, last day of camp, so report cards are being handed out, kids' grades and all that. Basically, the kids are put in different levels based on their level of skill. Level 1, we work on getting training wheels off. Level 2 kids learn to ride in control. Level 3 kids experience riding on trails and grass instead of just pavement. Level 4s get prepped for road riding. Level 5s can actually do road riding, to where they can learn to ride on rough terrain. The parents pay for a week of full-day classes, and at the end, I, the instructor, get to decide if a kid is capable of moving up a level, or if they need to stay in the same one. Again, based off of skill and improvement, or lack of it. We have always had very small class sizes, but huge camp area. But we're all on bikes, so we need the space. So I had 3 kids, all little angels, 2 in level 4 and 1 in level 3. One of the level 4s was the older brother of the level 3, and I was able to bump them both up a level. The other level 4, however, struggled with terrain riding and wasn't able to do hand signals. To clarify, hand signals are where you raise a hand off the handlebar while riding, and signal to the car on the road behind you whether you're stopping or turning, and which way you're going. Since, you know, bikes don't have brake lights or turn light signals. Basically, this kid was not ready for level 5, and I had to hold her back. She understood, as I talked with her and really tried to help her improve. I would inform her mum at the end of the day pickup about what was going on, and strongly encouraged her to help her daughter practice at home. You know, like homework, but on your bike. I found that helps immensely with kids learning to ride, and their mother totally understood when I told her on the Thursday before that I may be holding her kid back. However, that Friday, her dad was picking her up. I thought nothing of it, as her mum had informed me that morning at drop-off of the Switch. So end of day rolls around, and I of course have not seen significant improvement, despite the girl's best efforts, and unfortunately have to hold her back in level 4. I talked to the dad last, having sent home the other 2 kids, and after getting the confirmation number to prove that he's allowed to pick her up, the conversation goes something like this. So, unfortunately your daughter is unable to move up to level 5. She's really struggling with riding on different terrains, and her inability to ride with one hand prevents her from doing hand signals. Without hand signals, she can't road ride, and it wouldn't be fair to move her up, only to have her miss out on a lot of the level 5 stuff. Note that I've had to hold kids back from level 5 before, even if they have the skills. If they're too out of control and or can't do the hand signals, it's very unsafe for them to road ride. And since level 5 is all about road riding, to bump them up when their next instructor will just have to bench them isn't fair. The entitled dad, however, didn't see my logic.
But why not? You're her instructor, so you should have taught her such.
Me having had similar grief in the past. Sir, each child learns at their own rate. I didn't even start road riding until a few days ago. True story. And it can be very scary. But this is completely normal to be held back, as all it means is that she needs some more practice. Then I pulled out the girl's report card and showed that I had written the comments in the back. See, she just needs to keep practicing, and hopefully after going through level 4 again, she can… ED cuts me off then.
It's not a big deal. Just bump her up and we'll practice before bringing her back.
Sorry sir, but it's policy that unless myself or another instructor sees improvement, then it's not possible to bump her up, and even if I did, she wouldn't be road safe and we would have to stay on site and miss out of the road riding completely. The dad wasn't having this.
How dare you hold my daughter back a level? She can improve in a day. You're just a terrible teacher, and
At that point, his daughter, who was riding around in free time, turned her handlebars too sharply and fell over. Another reason I'm holding her back. I literally spring into action, and in 5 strides I'm at her side, mask on and helping get the bike off her legs. It's a cute one with Frozen pictures on it, and given that she just badly scraped up her knee, I scooped her into my arms to carry her to the main tent where the first aid stuff is. All instructors are first aid certified just for these types of incidents. As I start treating the scrape, I ask another instructor if they can move the girl's bike to the side, just so that other kids riding around don't crash into it. As they do so, it's policy for safety and all that, and we're pretty sanitized, and I'm treating the girl's wounded knee, I can hear the dad complaining to my manager. Great. It then hit me that this guy is entitled.
I want to know why this instructor,
Me.
won't move my perfectly capable daughter up to level 5.
My manager, who knows about why I'm holding the kid back. I'm not responsible for what the instructors write on the report cards, and I trust OP when she decides whether or not to move the kid up a level. ED is just starting to get upset and storms back to our area, and I finish bandaging up the girl. I gave her a cameo style one because I've nicknamed her a little trooper, because whenever she falls down, she tries to get up again. And she's fallen a lot. We return to the dad, only to find him complaining to another parent. Me, having enough of the dad, walk up to him, daughter in tow. Sir, I'm giving you a courtesy keeping your kid in level 4. She's actually been needing level 3 or even level 2 teaching, because she is really struggling with writing. Her dad loses it.
What? You want to bump my daughter down in levels?
Me, having had it, I will if you don't just accept the fact that your daughter isn't capable of safe road riding yet, because unless you want her to get hit with a car,
How dare you try and threaten me? I can...
get me fired? Good luck with that. And you know what? I grab the report card and a pen. I'm moving her down to level 3 just because she's not even ready for level 4. The ED is literally fuming, but I don't care. I'm trying to look out for the kid, and during all that, I realized I'd been a little soft keeping her in level 4. I have bumped kids down before, so it's not that big of a deal. Though to him, having a 10-year-old-ish kid struggling to ride a bike was probably embarrassing. But the girl needed to learn at the appropriate level first. Hey, I have a friend who didn't get her training wheels off until she was 12. And it took me having to teach her how to ride on the road to make her even comfortable with riding on residential roads. So it's all dependent on comfort level of each person. ED is still steaming when I give him the sanitized card and still threatening to get me fired. But then he sees my bike, his eyes light up, and I get a bad feeling.
I'll make you a deal. You can put my daughter down a level if you give her your bike with all its accessories.
Me furious. What? No, that's my bike. And need I remind you that we're in a pandemic? I've been touching my bike all day and sneezing on it at least once from my allergies.
Do it or I'll get you fired.
Go ahead, see how far you'll get. But I'm not giving your daughter my bike. It's too big for her anyways, and always will. Another note, both parents are shorter than me, and their kid is also small. She'll never grow into a bike my size. ED at that point shoves me aside, ignoring social distancing, and storms over to grab my bike. I have only a second to react, and well, I yanked down my mask and managed to spit on my bike's handlebars, and almost the dad. Gross, I know. Completely wrong right now, I know. But it worked. ED yanked his hands back, almost like he'd been burned.
What the heck?
I just stormed over, shoved him back and grabbed my bike, avoiding the spit. Next time, try not to tick off the girl who is grading your kid. I then grabbed the report card from him and write something on it. Now I'm not punishing your daughter, but see this number here? I point to the phone number I had written on the card. This is who is going to be calling you about the incident report I'm about to file against you, for both your behavior and your threats, and you'd better answer. Now good day. I then stormed over to the cleaning station, washed the spit off, and while my bike dried, filled out an incident report with my manager. That whole time I could hear the entitled dad screaming at me, but I ignored him, shouted a goodbye to the girl, and biked home. The saddest part of all of this is the girl probably is just really enjoying just learning to ride a bike. She probably doesn't care what pace it's at, as long as she can grow at the pace that's right for her. I can imagine being a 10-year-old kid, and if you're not comfortable to ride a bike yet, you don't want to be riding on the road. Like, that's a pretty scary thing. It sounds like the dad cares a lot more about how the kid represents her in her capabilities, rather than what's actually good for the child. Submit your story to be read on the channel at voiceyherestories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.